If you're taking vitamins but still feel run down, foggy, or off, you're not alone. One of the most frustrating things is doing the responsible thing, supplementing, and still ending up with lab results that look worse. The reason is simple. Supplements can fail for predictable reasons, and some mistakes can actually push you further into deficiency patterns. This isn't about blaming you. It's about understanding what supplements can and cannot do, and how timing, dosing, and combinations change the outcome. In the next few minutes, you'll hear 7 common mistakes that show up again and again. Some are about absorption, some are about interactions, and some are about using the wrong form for your body and your diet. If you fix even 2 of these, many people notice steadier energy and more consistent results. Let's start with the most common trap, treating a multivitamin like an insurance policy. Moving to slide 2. Mistake number 1 is relying on a basic multivitamin to correct a real deficiency. Multis are designed for broad coverage, not for repleting low levels. The doses are often modest, and the forms can be chosen for shelf stability, not absorption. Another issue is spacing. A multivitamin stacks minerals together, and minerals compete. Calcium, iron, zinc, and magnesium can interfere with each other when taken at the same time. So you may swallow a complete tablet and still absorb only a fraction of key nutrients. Multis also rarely address why you're low in the first place. Low iron might be heavy periods or low intake. Low B12 might be low stomach acid, or a plant-based diet without fortified foods. A multivitamin can be a foundation, but it's not a targeted strategy. If you suspect a deficiency, think in terms of 1 nutrient, 1 goal, and 1 plan, ideally guided by labs and a clinician. Moving to slide 3. Mistake number 2 is taking supplements at the wrong time, with the wrong meal, or with no meal at all. Fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K absorb better with dietary fat. If you take them on an empty stomach with black coffee, you may get far less than you think. On the other side, some nutrients do better away from large mixed meals. Iron often absorbs better when it's not competing with calcium, tea, coffee, or high-fiber foods. Magnesium can be gentler at night, especially if it relaxes your gut. Even probiotics can be timing sensitive, depending on the strain and the product design. The practical fix is to match the supplement to the condition it needs. Fat-soluble vitamins with a meal that contains fat. Iron away from calcium and caffeine. And if a supplement upsets your stomach, don't assume it's not for you. It may simply be a timing issue. Moving to slide 4. Mistake number 3 is using the wrong form of a nutrient, then assuming the nutrient doesn't work. Forms matter because they change absorption and how your body handles the compound. Magnesium oxide is a classic example. It's common and cheap, but it often absorbs poorly for many people. Magnesium glycinate or citrate may be better tolerated depending on your goal. With B12, cyanocobalamin works for many, but some people do better with methylcobalamin or hydroxycobalamin, especially if they're correcting low levels under supervision. Folate is another one. Food folate is not the same as folic acid, and some people prefer methylfolate, though it's not automatically better for everyone. Iron forms differ too. Some are harsh on the stomach. Others are gentler, but may require different dosing. The point is not to buy the most expensive option. It's to choose a form that fits your needs and your tolerance. Moving to slide 5. Mistake number 4 is creating nutrient imbalances by megadosing one thing and ignoring its partners. Nutrients work in teams. A common example is taking high-dose zinc for weeks because you heard it's good for immunity. Zinc can reduce copper absorption over time, and low copper can look like fatigue, low mood, or even anemia patterns on labs. Another example is calcium without considering magnesium and vitamin D status, or taking high-dose vitamin D without paying attention to magnesium, which your body uses in vitamin D metabolism. Even B vitamins can be tricky. High-dose folic acid can mask certain signs of B12 deficiency, which is one reason clinicians monitor both. The fix is balance and duration. Short-term targeted dosing can make sense, but long-term high doses should be deliberate. If you're unsure, aim for moderate doses and check whether your supplement is quietly pushing you out of balance. Moving to slide 6. Mistake number 5 is stacking supplements that compete for absorption, so you end up wasting money and staying low. The biggest battles happen with minerals. Iron, calcium, magnesium, and zinc share transport pathways, so taking them together can reduce how much you absorb of each. Another common conflict is iron with tea or coffee. Tannins and polyphenols can reduce iron absorption, especially non-heme iron. High-dose fiber supplements can also bind minerals, and antacids or acid-reducing products can change stomach acidity, which matters for B12, iron, and some forms of calcium. You don't need a complicated schedule, but you do need separation where it counts. A simple approach is take iron alone, away from calcium and caffeine. Take calcium at a different time than iron and zinc. And if you're using multiple minerals, consider rotating them across meals rather than swallowing them all at once. Moving to slide 7. Mistake number 6 is ignoring gut and absorption issues, then blaming the supplement. If your digestion is struggling, your nutrient intake can look fine on paper, but still not translate into nutrient status. Low stomach acid, chronic reflux, celiac disease, inflammatory bowel conditions, or a history of bariatric surgery can all reduce absorption of iron, B12, and fat-soluble vitamins. Even frequent diarrhea or very rapid transit time can lower absorption across the board. There's also the food-first angle. If your diet is extremely restrictive, supplements may be trying to replace what should be coming from meals, and that's hard to sustain. The practical move is to treat absorption as a variable, not a guarantee. If you keep supplementing and labs don't improve, ask about testing, dosing forms, and whether you need a different route, like sublingual or clinician-supervised options. The supplement may not be the problem. Delivery might be. Moving to slide 8. Mistake number 7 is treating symptoms like a supplement checklist, instead of confirming what you actually need. Fatigue can be iron, but it can also be sleep, thyroid patterns, low calories, depression, or low B12. Hair shedding can be iron, zinc, protein, stress, or postpartum changes. Tingling can be B12, but also nerve compression or blood sugar issues. When you guess, you often end up taking the wrong thing in the wrong dose for the wrong duration, and that can worsen imbalances, like we talked about with zinc and copper. The fix is to use symptoms as a signal, not a diagnosis. If symptoms persist, labs can clarify the picture. Things like ferritin for iron stores, B12 with additional markers when appropriate, vitamin D, and sometimes copper or zinc depending on your stack. Targeted data turns random supplementing into a plan. Moving to slide 9. Now let's talk about a mistake that hides inside healthy choices: not checking your total intake from fortified foods and multiple products. It's easy to take a multivitamin, drink an energy drink with B vitamins, eat fortified cereal, and add a separate B complex. You might think you're covering your bases, but you can end up with very high intakes of certain nutrients. For example, high B6 over long periods has been linked in reports to nerve symptoms in some cases. High vitamin A from retinol, especially when combined across products, can be risky for certain groups. Even zinc can creep up when it's in a multivitamin, a cold product, and a standalone mineral. The deficiency trap is that excess of one nutrient can suppress another, or create symptoms that look like deficiency. A practical step is to audit your labels once, add up repeated ingredients, and simplify your stack. Moving to slide 10. Another common issue is quality and storage, because potency is not guaranteed forever. Some supplements degrade with heat, light, oxygen, or time. Fish oil can oxidize. Probiotics can lose viability if they're stored improperly. Vitamin C and certain B vitamins can be sensitive to moisture and heat. This matters because you can be taking it, but not getting the labeled amount. Quality also includes what else is in the capsule. Some products have fillers that bother sensitive stomachs. Others don't disclose testing standards, which can matter for contaminants in certain categories like herbal products or minerals. You don't need perfection, but you do want basic reliability. Look for brands that use third-party testing or clear quality standards. Store supplements as directed, and be cautious with old bottles that have been sitting around for years. If you're not improving, potency and quality are a reasonable thing to question. Moving to slide 11. Let's make this practical with a simple, low-stress framework. Assess, separate, and support. First, assess. What are you actually trying to fix? Low ferritin, low D, low B12, or just vague symptoms. If you have labs, use them. If you don't, start with one priority rather than 10 supplements. Second, separate. Don't let competing minerals cancel each other out. If iron is your focus, take it away from calcium and caffeine. If you're taking multiple minerals, spread them across the day. Third, support. Pair fat-soluble vitamins with a meal containing fat. Pair iron with vitamin C if tolerated, because it can improve absorption for many people. And support the basics. Enough protein, enough calories, and a diet with real micronutrients. Supplements work best when they're filling gaps, not trying to replace a fragile routine. This framework keeps you from overcomplicating and underabsorbing at the same time. Moving to slide 12. Here are a few quick examples of how this looks in real life. If you're low in iron stores, a common strategy is iron taken consistently, away from calcium and coffee, and monitored with ferritin over time. If vitamin D is low, many people take it with their largest meal that includes fat, and they avoid assuming that more is better without follow-up. If B12 is low, the form and route matter. Some people do fine with oral tablets, while others may need sublingual or clinician-supervised approaches depending on the cause. If magnesium is the goal, switching forms and timing can change tolerance dramatically. The key is that each nutrient has its own rules. When you treat all supplements the same, you get unpredictable results. When you match the nutrient to its best conditions, you reduce wasted effort, and you're less likely to create new imbalances while trying to fix an old one. Moving to slide 13. Before we wrap up, here's the big takeaway. Supplements are tools, not guarantees. Deficiencies can persist when the dose is too low, the form is wrong, timing is off, or absorption is compromised. They can also get worse when you create imbalances by pushing one nutrient too hard, or when you stack competing minerals in the same moment. The most effective approach is surprisingly calm. Pick one goal, simplify your stack, and make absorption easy. If you've been taking vitamins and nothing changes, that's not a personal failure. It's a signal that the system needs adjustment. If you want to keep learning about practical nutrition strategies that actually hold up in real life, make sure to subscribe. And I'm curious, have you struggled more with timing supplements or choosing the right form, A or B? This information is not a substitute for medical advice.